Bonjour tout le monde! Hello year 7s or any years if you're coming to see this for a little recap of how to conjugate ER verbs in the present tense in French. This may be a long video. I will try and put timestamps on the screen for the places where I think you could skip. So to start with, let's go through a few definitions. What is a verb? A lot of you will have been explained that a verb is a doing word. To be a bit more precise, it can also be a state, and it's a word that you can use with a subject to say something is happening. So if you can say I and then that action, then you have a verb. For example, I speak. Speak is a verb. Or I leap, I jump, I am. These are all verbs. Okay? Next, an infinitive is the basic form of the verb which you find in a dictionary. It can look a bit different depending on languages, so French and English don't really deal with them the same way. We're going to see a bit more about that in a minute. Tense. What's a tense? When we talk about grammar and verbs, the tense is when something is happening. So you can have different time frames. You can have the past, the present, or the future. And within these time frames, you have separate verb tenses. Like in English, for the present, for example, you have the simple and the continuous one. You have I stand and I am standing. They are both in the present tense, but there are different tenses, all in the present time frame. So then present, in English, as I said, you have two different present tenses. The simple present is for habits and general truths, and then the continuous present is for what is happening right now. So I stand for truth is a general truth about me. I am standing right now is a lie because I'm currently sitting. So they're both in the present, but you have different present tenses in English. In French, we only have one present tense for that, so they would both be exactly the same. And context tells you if we mean it in a general sense or right now. Subject. When we talk about grammar and verbs, the subject is who or what does the action of the verb. So if I say I am sitting, the subject is I. If I say you eat pizza, the subject is you, not pizza, but you, because you're the one eating. When I say my horse is gorgeous, the subject is my horse. If I say French people had quite a few revolutions in the 19th century, then the subject is French people, not revolutions. Okay? And the ending is obviously what goes at the end of a word. And today we're looking at endings for verbs, verb endings. Okay? So, first let's have a look at the verbs we're going to use in today's video for our examples and your practice at the end. There will be 2 exercises at the end for you to do. We've got verbs here on the side in French, 6 of them. Manger, maybe I need to point. Manger, aimer, détester, préférer, bavarder, rigoler. I'm going to invite you to pause the video and see if you can match up all of these French verbs with their English translations. So we've got to laugh, to prefer, to eat, to like, to hate, and to chat. Try and match them up, and when you think you're done, you can press play again and look at the answers. So, manger is to eat, aimer, to like, détester, to hate, préférer, to prefer, bavarder, to chat, and rigoler, to laugh. So those are the ones we're going to look at today. Before we get started with the explanation, we need to go through a few more details. So the infinitive first. I told you we were going to go back to it, and there it is. The infinitive is the verb form you find in the dictionary. For example, in the French dictionary, you will find adorer, which means to love. You will not find it under any other form than adorer. Just like in an English dictionary, if you look up loves, it will tell you to look at love, or it will tell you nothing. Okay, so you need to find love, to love, the infinitive in the dictionary. So in French, we recognize infinitives with their endings. Here it's an ER. And you noticed on the slide before, hopefully they all end in ER, and that means they were all infinitive verbs. It means they're not happening, there's no context, no one's doing anything. It's just the plain idea of an action. You can remember that the infinitive is the to form of the verb, thanks to Buzz Lightyear, to infinitive and beyond. So the infinitive is the to form of the verb which you find in the dictionary. In most languages, verbs have to change their endings to match their subjects and tenses. So that's what we call conjugation. Okay, so you change the ending to match the subject and tense. And just a reminder, bear in mind, the subject is who or what does the action, and the tense is when the action is happening. So now that we've got these straight and clear, now there are two different ways we can explain conjugation in French in the present tense. So I'll go through both and I'll give you timestamps if you want to skip ahead when I'm done with the first one. So you take your infinitive, and then you're going to replace the ER ending with the correct ending to match your subject. So how do you know what the ending is? You need to learn them by heart. So this is the grid of ER endings, which you need to learn by heart, and it goes: je needs an E at the end instead of ER, tu ES instead of ER, il, elle, on E instead of ER, nous ONS instead of ER, vous EZ instead of ER, il, elle, ENT instead of ER. Once you've learned subject pronouns like we've done in class, in order, you've got je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. You can easily just learn those endings as a chant. So you can do E, ESE, ONS, EZ, ENT, E, ESE, ONS, EZ, ENT. Okay? So once you know these, it's pretty straightforward. You take your infinitive, for example, manger, and then you replace ER with whatever matches the subject you want. So if I wanted to say I eat, I would say je, and then with je in the grid, you can see that we need E, so ER became E at the end. Je mange, I eat, or I'm eating. Now if we wanted to use tu, the grid tells us it should be ES, and so we have tu mange with ES instead of ER. If we had vous, it would become EZ, so vous mangez, EZ instead of ER. With ils pleuront, ils mangent, ENT instead of ER. So ils mangent, they eat or they're eating. And you can see, or maybe you didn't notice, but I'm going to point it out, that these three and this one, so je, tu, il, elle, on, and then ils, elles pleuront, they all sound the same. The endings E, ES, and ENT sound exactly the same, and most of the time you won't really hear them. That's how it works. So that's one way to explain it. If this is enough for you, you can skip to the timestamp I'm going to let hover on the screen now. If not, there is another way to explain it using Toy Story characters. This is more long-winded, winded, I don't know. But maybe it'll be fun. So first, we go over the endings again, just to make sure we know them. So hopefully you remember. Je goes with I, tu, ES, il, elle, on, I, nous, ONS, vous, EZ, and ils, elles pleuront, ENT. So once you've revised them, we can get started. First, we grab the infinitive with Buzz Lightyear. For example, rigoler, to laugh. Then, Woody, his best mate, comes and catches the ER ending and throws it away. So I'm left with rigole, no ending. After that, I'm going to ask Slinky to fetch the Slinky subject. It's Slinky who does that because the subject could be a short pronoun, for example today, je, but it could also be a long noun phrase. You could have as a subject all of your family members named one by one individually, and that would be a long group. So you need Slinky to do this, so it can be a long subject or a short one. So now I've got my Slinky subject, je, and I've got my infinitive minus the ending, rigole. What do I do next? Next, we're going to ask Rex to go and get the matching ending for je, for the Slinky subject. That will make Rex feel really happy because even though he's got very short arms and he can't do much, the ending is something he can get because it's just a few letters, never any more than that, and so it's something that he can help out with. And with je, Slinky will tell Rex, we need an E because it's je, so we need E to match it, so Rex gets it. And finally, Mr. Potato puts everything together and we now have je rigole, I laugh or I am laughing. So that's the Toy Story explanation. You grab your infinitive with Buzz Lightyear, Woody gets rid of the ending ER, Slinky gets the Slinky subject, Rex gets the matching ending, Mr. Potato puts everything together. And we're done. So let's look at a bit of practice. The first exercise is here we have 8 sentences with one subject pronoun and one infinitive, and your job is to put them together and make sure that the endings match. So let's show you how it works for number 1. Manger is there in its infinitive form, Buzz Lightyear. I get rid of er, because that's the first step. Then we know our subject is je, so we write it down, and the matching ending for je is I, so we write it down after mange. And now we have je mange. You do the same for numbers 2 up to 8. I suggest you press pause, do that, and then press play when you're ready to see the answers. They're going to come up. Answers are up with the same color code, so we've got tu détestes, nous préférons, vous bavardez, on aime, je déteste, elle rigole, et il mange. Press pause to make notes if needed, and then you can move on. There's another exercise next. So, next exercise. This time, you've got 6 verb phrases in English, and you need to pick the correct French infinitive from the side here, and you need to then do that same conjugation process properly. So we've got she's chatting. So the first thing I need to do is decide from these 6 which one means chatting. And I remember from the beginning it was bavarder. So I'm going to write bavarder. Buzz Lightyear, infinitive, bavarder. Next step, get rid of the ending er. That was Woody's step. So I'm getting rid of er. Next step, put the correct subject. She is elle in French. Okay? Then I need to get the matching ending for elle, which we've learned was EESE. Third person singular. Elle goes with E, so I'm writing E. And then I can check, we've got elle bavarde, she's chatting. Remember, again in French, she chats and she's chatting would be exactly the same thing. You are eating and you eat, same thing, etc. So for number 2, you want the singular form of you. For number 4, I want the familiar form of we. So in the grid, you had nous, but that's formal and posh. We rarely use that in French, so I want you to use on instead. And then we've got you, plural, for number 5, and they, feminine, for number 6. So press pause, have a go, and then here come the answers. So again, press pause if you want some time to make notes. We've got tu manges, il rigole, on aime, vous préférez, elles aiment. Okay? I didn't use déteste in this one. I don't know why. I just didn't. So, hopefully this was helpful. It's a bit on the long side. Hopefully you had a go at the practices as well. If you have any questions, do reach out and we will see you as soon as safely possible in school, if you belong in the school. And if not, I'm glad you ended up on this video and I'm glad it possibly can help you. Have a lovely day, afternoon, evening, wherever, whenever, and we will see you later. Au revoir!